Good morning. Happy Sunday. No Niners game today, but there is a lot of news to unpack today. Yeah, I know. No game today, and there's so much news to talk about, and we got to talk about it, man. Let's get into it. So, yesterday, Deanna Rossini, sorry, went and reported on her column in The Athletic. We're going to talk about that. Today, Jay Glazer posted some news. Ian Rappaport about DeAndre Campbell. Let's get into that. So first and foremost, there's again no Niners game today. The fate is sealed. The season's pretty much done up. But now we got to start thinking about the long term, and it's where it gets crazy. So I don't know where we should start. Let's talk about this one. Big news of the day: Brock Purdy. Let's start here. Brock Purdy, quarterback, QB1 franchise quarterback. He's seeking a contract at the top of the market. Of quarterback market, according to Tom Pelissero. He's also not willing to take less than that top spot. Like, he wants to be at the top of the market. If he was offered 10th highest paid quarterback at approximately $50 million a year, the report says he's not going to take it. So that's kind of crazy. Brock and his agent, they want top dollar. They want to be paid like the guys like Jordan Love, like Dak Prescott, like Tua, all those guys that are at that top of the market. He believes he should be paid more than that. According to Deanna Rossini yesterday, she said that the 49ers are pursuing Brock Purdy this offseason on a long-term extension. Like, he's still their guy. They believe in him. That's their guy. And they believe that he's going to, get a max extension with this team. So then today, again, Tom Pelissero's report, I think he was on Rich Eisen's show the other day, and this news has surfaced from that he's seeking a max type contract. So that's crippling for this team. You give him $60 million. I don't know if you're going to be bringing back a lot of guys. You got a lot of guys at the top of their contract. I mean, Brock's, been a great franchise quarterback. You don't want to go into this and say, oh man, we got to start another QB carousel. And it's just so stressful because the 49ers, every single year, it's QB drama. We might be at it again. Like, is Brock really worth $60 million? Do you just pay him the market just because that's the thing to do? That's your franchise quarterback. So you just pay him at the top of the market? I don't know. I just don't think you should just, okay, you want that money? Here you go. I think it's going to cause an issue this offseason, and there's going to be another offseason contract drama. And I hate to say that. I kind of feel like it might happen. I kind of feel like there's going to be some contract drama. So let's take a look at these comments. I just came in and just started spewing. So let's see what y'all have to say. Peter says Purdy's only worth 40 to 47 million in my opinion. Can't perform in bad weather games. Oh, okay. Brock seems too humble to ask for max money, says Peter Parker. Well, sometimes you think a guy might be humble, but when the money comes, you're going to ask for your value. So Mario says, is this real though? It's Tom Pelissero. He's a very well-respected reporter. I saw the clip on the Rich Eisen show the other day. He very well indeed said, that Brock and his agent are seeking the max deal. And then again, Rossini yesterday did say she's a very great reporter. Like, she doesn't post clickbait. She doesn't really post nonsense. And she said that, yeah, the 49ers and Brock Purdy are going to look for an extension this offseason. So then if you look at Pelissero's news on top of that, it's, yeah, Rossini's right. They're going to seek a contract, and it's going to be top of the market, according to what Brock Purdy wants. So, I mean, I don't have any inclination to think this is false. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. I mean, there's two ways to look at it. If you don't keep Brock Purdy, if you get rid of him, then you're going to be searching for another quarterback again. I mean, there's veterans you can go after. Kirk Cousins. We know Kyle loves Kirk Cousins. There's Sam Darnold, who you had on your team before. They may take a little bit less than a $60 million contract. And then there's the point of, and I'm just throwing all this out there because this is stuff that's going to be talked about all offseason. Then there's the point of, do you trade Brock Purdy? But then what is his trade value? Well, teams really want Brock. Like, that's the thing. We love Brock. I think he's the quarterback for this system. He can get the ball to the Yak brothers and everything like that. But do other teams value Brock? That's where you have to ask yourself. And I am not throwing any shade at Brock. Like, I think he's a great guy. He's had a hell of a story. Last pick in the draft, humble player, and everybody loves him on this team. But you have to really think about the other teams. Like, do they think that Brock is worth $60 million? Do they think he's worth a high draft pick? Do other teams value him like the Niners. So I don't know if he has much trade value around the league. He's valuable to the Niners because he knows their system. We've seen him do great things with the 49ers. So it's a big question. $60 million, a lot of money. That's the market. 49ers, are they inclined to pay him that much? I don't know. It's a lot. So I think there's going to be a bidding war, and this is going to get dragged out just like every other contract. So I don't know if the 49ers are going to value him at $60 million. They're going to give him a lowball offer, and Brock's going to say, I'm not taking that offer. I want the $60 million or somewhere close to it. And it's going to be this back and forth all off season, just like it was this year with Brandon Ayuk. That's my opinion on it. I could be 100% wrong. So it's going to be a crazy offseason, I'm guessing. So there's going to be a lot of restructured contracts. Yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of restructured contracts. I mean, they already did Javon Hargraves. I'm sure he's going to be out the door once June 1st hits. I know Kyle said no, but you know how it grows. There's going to be a lot of players that aren't back on this team next year. It's going to be unfortunate. It's going to be a weird offseason. You're going to see a lot of new faces. And let's see. Robbie says, a team that runs the Shanahan system that doesn't have a QB like the Saints will value Brock Purdy. Maybe the Saints would. Maybe. I think the Saints need to go after a quarterback in the draft. You don't need to pay a guy when you can get a guy in the draft for a lot cheaper for 4 years. So get your QB healthy. Everyone else, I think the bigger question is Debo, says Alexander. Yeah, Debo is definitely a question, but I don't think he's the biggest question. I mean, he's wide receiver. Niners have a bunch of wide receivers, but now, I mean, early in the season, we thought wide receivers was like, oh my God, so much quality depth. Debo hasn't been himself. Ayuk got a nasty injury. Who knows if he's ever going to be himself again? Juwan Jennings, great player. He's our top receiver. Other than that, receivers kind of looking sketchy. You got Ricky Pearsall, who he's still learning the game. He's developing. A lot of adversity for him. Jacob Cowing, he's a guy that's still trying to figure out the game as well in the NFL level. So wide receiver is definitely an issue. A lot of people are saying Brock or Debo probably won't be back next season with the Niners. Either they release or trade him. Could be a possibility. But again, with all the wide receiver issues, maybe they keep him. Maybe they restructure him and keep him on a smaller deal. So there's still a chance that Debo sticks around. I mean, I know he hasn't been what he has been. He's been through a lot this season and over the years. I'm not going to say that's an excuse, but yeah, definitely they're going to have to consider those factors with Debo Samuel because definitely hasn't been delivering, paid all that money and struggling. You going out on social media and say, give me the ball. You get the ball. You get basically the ball fed to you and you lay an egg. So Mooney needs to go. Yeah, Mooney will probably be gone, but I mean, Moody's contract's pennies compared to some of these other guys. So it's not like, oh my God, we got to get rid of Moody because they might keep him. His contract's not crazy, right? He's on still a rookie contract. Although, I mean, I don't know if you can justify keeping him with how bad he's played. But he was a third-round pick. So I think the other part of that story, the flip side of that take is, yeah, maybe the Niners are inclined to keep him because he was a third-round pick and they don't want to look dumb. I mean, they really look pretty bad drafting a kicker, but it's just going to make him look worse because then people are going to roast him. And I don't know. I think they might end up keeping Moody for another year. Let him play out his rookie contract. Kicker to me, it's just not a position where you need to draft a guy. You can get him undrafted or 7th-round pick. We've seen some good kickers that were never drafted in this league. But Jake Moody's contract has no significance really on the Brock Purdy or anything else. I believe Purdy looks good due to Kyle's system. That's possible. That's what a lot of people are thinking as well. Do you think we will find another DC? I hope so. I don't think Sorensen's that guy, although Kyle likes him. He seems to really have his back. But the thing is, I think Kyle likes him too because, he's a guy that's never really been a defensive coordinator. So maybe he's giving him the benefit of the doubt. I do think they need a better defense coordinator. I 100% agree. Look at what happened to the Eagles, right? Vic Fangio comes in and he changed that defense, and they're so much different than they were last year. Last year, they were, a joke. They kind of fell apart. But this year, the Eagles defense is really back to prominence, and I think that was the key. They got a really good defense coordinator. I wish we would have got Vic Fangio, but Kyle didn't want to change the scheme, the system up, and now the Eagles are benefiting from it. So maybe we do need to change the scheme up. Sometimes you got to change it up, but I do think the Niners do need a new defensive coordinator. So, David says if Debo stays, they're going to give him the Armstead deal. I could see something like that where they really cut his pay down to a significant amount and say, hey, you want to stay? This is what we got to pay because this is what your latest season indicates us. And they're going to pay him based on recency of his play. And I agree. I think that's definitely a great point that if the 49ers do keep Debo, it's probably going to be like on a cheaper contract, kind of like what they tried to do with Arik Armstead. And Armstead was like, nah, ain't no way. I'm going to go somewhere else and get my ducats. So I can see that happening 100%. I mean, I think this can happen with a lot of players this season. I think the Niners need to kind of look at this roster and analyze it and say, hey, man, we got some issues. We got to cut rid of some of these guys. We got to cut bait. We got to save some money, especially if they're trying to pay Brock Purdy $60 million or if he wants $60 million. Again, I'm just going back to this because if that's the thing that's going to be playing out this offseason, they're going to have to restructure deals. They're going to have to move players. They're going to have to cut players. It's going to be financial swimming again. And I don't know. Again, I don't think they should pay him $60 million. But that's the market. It's unfortunate. That is now the market of this league because you got players like Tua and Dak Prescott and Trevor Lawrence, getting paid all this money. Are they really worth it? No, but that's the market. That's just the nature of the game. The NFL is, okay, here's the market. The next guy that gets up that's available to get paid, that's where he's going to get paid. And it's just like they go into, oh, okay, he's the next guy that's getting paid. We got to pay him this. We got to pay him this, So there's other options. The Niners could force him to play on his last year, right? He's got $1 million contract next year. It might not be much to NFL players. For us, $1 million, not bad, right? Pretty good. But for a quarterback in the NFL, $1 million is really nothing. So they could force him to play on that last contract and prove himself, kind of like a Lamar Jackson, situation where he balled out in his last contract. He said, pay me now. And they had no choice than to pay him. So could be like that. Niners might force him to play on his last year, although I don't think so. I think they'll try to pay him and get this extension. And if they really believe he's their guy, which all the reports are now saying that's their guy. So looking forward to the draft this year. Yeah, I know. 50 mil or nothing, says Jason. Get Burrow or Gabriel. Oh, I would love Burrow. 50 mil or nothing. Honestly, that's probably the way I'd go. But according to the reports today, Brock ain't taking 50 mil. So it might be nothing if he can't. I think it's going to get to a point where these negotiations drag out, man. And I hate to say that. If we're already at this point right now and the situation is Brock wants top dollar, he's not taking 50 mil. I think that if that's 100% accurate what Tom Pelissero is reporting, which he's a really good reporter, he's very reliable, I think it's going to be an ugly offseason. Market has to get corrected. I agree with that, Hurst. I think the market does need to get corrected. It's kind of crazy how just it's like it's so acceptable. Oh, okay, next quarterback's up. Let's pay him 50. Oh, it's 60 now. Oh, the market's 7. In like 3-4 years, it's going to be like $75 million for a quarterback. That's crazy. And then you have like really good quarterbacks who got paid a few years back. And it's like, wow, this Joe Smith is getting paid more than Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? That's crazy to me. And I hate Patrick Mahomes. I hate the Chiefs, but he should probably be among the highest paid quarterbacks, right? Josh Allen should be among the highest paid quarterbacks. But they got paid years ago. They're not at that top market level, guys like that. So, and then you have the people like Tom Brady who would take a hometown discount so he can sign players and keep the team great. And I wish Brock Purdy would do that and take a little discount. Get paid $40 million. Take $40 million. Are you kidding me? Last pick in the draft, you'd be lucky to get $40 million a year. And he would help this team, and you'd still have a great team around you. But, I mean, I get it. I'd take $60 million too. Leonardo says, I hope not. Just want a drama-free offseason. We all do, man. They need to extend Dre Greenlaw, says Bloom Cash. I see a lot of comments on Dre Greenlaw. Absolutely. This guy played fantastic. What a great game he had in his return. Honestly, they should just give Dre Greenlaw a contract like today. I need to see breaking news. The 49ers have extended Dre Greenlaw for 4 years, whatever he wants, blank check. Do you see how good he was? Defense was so good when he was on the field. I know he had to leave late in the game because, he was first game back. He didn't want to overstress it. He did have some soreness. It was different when he wasn't on the field. I mean, we've seen it all year without him. You see the difference in in the game, you see the difference like immediately. Like we can sit here and go back, watch the film and say, oh yeah, Dre Greenlaw made a different game. But when you actually see it in the same game, that defense for 3 quarters was just unbelievable. Fourth quarter came, and the Rams were moving the ball, running the ball. Kyron Williams was running down the ball, running down the throat. Dre Greenlaw needs to get paid. This guy needs a blank check. The best linebacker out there. He needs you want to set the market. Niners want to set the market this offseason. They need to set the market at linebacker. Go pay Dre Greenlaw everything. Did you see the video his fiance posted? I posted it for you guys. That just shows how much he really came, and how hard he worked. This man was on a knee scooter. It showed the scars on his Achilles. It showed how hard he was, just being a present in his family's life. He just did everything for his son. And you could tell he put everything on the line to get back and be the man that he was before the injury. And he came back, better than ever. Like, shout out. I love that video. I'm so happy his fiance posted that, because I was just like, man, I needed to see that. I needed that vibe. I needed that positivity. This Dre Greenlaw, you could just tell he worked his tail off. I saw him a couple months ago when I was at the Plex. We were doing a show. I remember Greenlaw was in there. I think I told you guys this story. And my boy Ken's like, yo, Greenlaw, let's go talk to Greenlaw. I was like, I don't want to bother him, but we ended up talking to him, and I was like, dude, so hyped to see you back this year. This was probably like week 6. I don't know. And I said, you back yet? He goes, it's coming. We don't want to rush it. But he goes, it's contract season. I got to play a little bit, right? But you could just tell he was just so focused on his family. He's such a nice guy, man. He took time out of his day to talk to us. He didn't need to, he was out the Plex with his family, doing his thing. But he did take some time to talk to us, and he's such a nice guy. And I told him, man, I was like, I can't wait to see you get back. He says, you can't wait. I can't wait. I'm hungry, man. I said, okay, man. But, Dre's a good man, good dude, and he deserves big money. Go give that man $60 million a year. Okay, maybe don't pay linebacker $60 million, but you know what I mean. Pay him top dollar. Guy's incredible. You know what else? Let's talk about this. So there's one linebacker we just talked about who's incredible, Dre Greenlaw, but there's another linebacker who's a dog trash. He's dog trash. DeAndre Campbell. We heard all the updates. So today, Ian Rappaport gave us the update that the 49ers are looking to suspend DeAndre Campbell rather than release him. If they suspend him, they can hold his pay, and it allows him not to be signed by another team. Now, I know you say, oh, who's going to sign him? There's teams that are desperate. They might take him if they get an injured player or something in the playoffs. So it prevents him from making more money. It's his reward. John Lynch, according to Jay Glazer, confronted him. I can't wait to hear what John Lynch said to him, because I know the news is going to get out this week. I know when when John Lynch gets on KNBR this week, because he goes on KNBR every week, and I cannot wait to hear what he says about DeAndre Campbell. I can't wait to hear what he said about that loser. He got confronted by John Lynch, man. John Lynch is usually so calm, but John Lynch confronted that, man. I can't wait to hear what he said to him. You don't play games with John Lynch. So they're going to suspend him, the max suspension. They're seeking the max suspension so he can't sign with another team, so he can't get his money. Take it all away from him. You deserve that, DeAndre Campbell. I still can't believe he did that. Shout out to John Lynch. Shout out to this team. Petty Kings, I love it. Be as petty as you can be. Don't let him get any more money. This is a lesson learned for him. So get petty. Absolutely. Campbell is a weenie. That's right. Quitting on the team. Unbelievable, man. MGV says, sorry, without knowing the source, I simply do not believe Tom Pelissero's report. I mean, Tom Pelissero is the main source. Tom Pelissero is usually right. He's a really good reporter. But anyways, it's going to be smoke season. Although you're right, it is going to be smoke season coming up in a couple of weeks here once the season's officially over. It's going to be a lot of reports. There's going to be a lot of rumors. There's going to be a lot of things you have to sift through that you're like, what is real, what is not? What is reality, what is not? So, I mean, it's not like that's a bad take to have to sit here and say, I don't know if I believe the reports, because I'm not going to believe a lot of reports this offseason. That's just how it goes. So, do I think we re-sign Greenlaw? Oh, absolutely. He's getting a big contract. Never signed an ex-Packer. Yeah, for sure. I can't even believe it. Campbell has 0 jersey sales. That's crazy. No jersey sale. Who wants a DeAndre Campbell? You're crazy on a blank check with Greenlaw. You know what I mean. I'm not saying blank check him. I'm just I'm just saying, pay him a lot of money. Give him good money. But you're right. You do have to be cautious because of the injury. But I mean, it was one game back, but he was incredible on that one game back. But you're right. There is injury risk. You do have to be safe. I was getting a little over hyped up, but you're right. For Greenlaw, definitely got to re-sign him. Definitely got to pay him. But you do have to be safe because that injury, you never know what could happen. That's a huge injury. It was one game back. I'm sure Greenlaw had a lot of adrenaline, a lot of emotion running through him that game. How much of an effect is that? All that pent up 10 months of like just waiting to get back was that on Thursday night. Although I think he would have played great regardless. So because he's a good player. So. A better backup for Greenlaw. Yeah, they need to look at the market for better backups because if they do re-sign Dre Greenlaw, there is the risk that he could get hurt. So you're absolutely right. You do need to go look into the linebacker market and get a good veteran that's a good backup, dependable, and maybe even draft a really good linebacker. I think this year they have to draft a really good linebacker and just know that he's going to be in the mix, and Fred Warner's getting a little older. Although he's great, he did play through a nasty injury this year. So get a good linebacker for depth because you do need it, because we saw this year, DeAndre Campbell, that was the guy they went to sign, and he just wasn't it. Although they did try to get Eric Kendricks. That didn't work out, but they do need really, really strong linebacker depth. I think a lot of us thought D. Winters and Jalen Graham were going to be those guys, but, they're still figuring out. They're still young. They're still not 100% where they need to be. Go get a guy that's proven, right? So what happened to our offense Thursday night? Whew! It was ugly. That's what happened. It was ugly. Couldn't complete passes, a lot of drops, erratic play by Brock. Red zone faltered again. Just couldn't get the run game going. It was bad. Poor offensive line play, lack of creativity. There's a lot of bad things that happened. So Niners offense definitely shit the bed. It was a must-win game, and they shit the bed. So, and that brings me to my last topic here, a little update. Because, again, there's been a lot of news. Although the 49ers haven't played since Thursday, and they won't play today, there has been a lot of news. So Deanna Rossini also, on her report yesterday, she said that the 49ers are not placing Kyle Shanahan on a hot seat. He's not considered on a hot seat. They believe in his ability to win games and, build this team around him. So Kyle Shanahan's not going anywhere. I know a lot of people are salted and mad at Kyle Shanahan, and they want him gone. I think the fan base is kind of half and half on him at this point. They're kind of torn. You got the fans that love Kyle. You got the fans that hate Kyle. You got the fans in between. They're like, nah, I don't know. Either way, he's kind of been regressing this year. Then they're like, well, you can't fault him because of the injury. So wherever you lie on that spectrum, he's not going anywhere this season. They were committed to him. It hasn't been the best year for the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan, but there's no hot seat indication for Kyle Shanahan. So this was a report that came out yesterday, and I figured we'd go over that as well because that is definitely big news for the 49ers because, again, a lot of people want to move on from Kyle, maybe trade him, maybe, get rid of him, bring in Ben Johnson, et cetera, but that's not going to happen this offseason. So let's take a look at some of these comments. Key says, Kyle should not be in the hot seat due to too many injuries, but he has to get help in the offense and special team defense. Yeah, so he does need to I think they need to kind of, if you're not going to get rid of Kyle, get him an offense coordinator. Take away some of his responsibilities. Maybe he's too stressed out. Maybe he's over his head. You've been to a lot of big games. You lose mentally. That tears you down. So yeah, absolutely. Maybe you go get some help. Maybe you go get an offense coordinator. You got to get a better defense coordinator. 100%. We mentioned that. You got to get rid of the special teams coach because this special teams has been absolutely special ed teams. It's not been good over the last, not just this year, but a couple of years. It's been, a work in progress every year. And it hasn't gotten better. So you need to figure that out. If Kyle's still your coach, you got to get some better coaches around him to help him out. I really don't think Sorensen is cut to be a DC. So figure that out. Get a better special teams situation going and maybe get him an OC. So hire Kubiak as offense coordinator. Let's see. Sear says the Campbell drama just covered up the fact that our season ended after the Campbell drama did kind of overshadow everything. I agree. It was kind of the perfect storm for the 49ers in a way because they were going to get roasted for losing this game, which I know they took a lot of heat from the media, but not as much after losing this game because all the kind of traffic the direction the news was targeted toward Campbell. I mean, I looked on my page. I was like, posted so much about Campbell. We were kind of taken away from the major issues, which were, the offensive struggles. This team is not going to make playoffs. There's a lot of other reasons we should be, or other things we should be focusing on. But the Campbell news was like such a spotlight news, and it took away from, the actual issues. So I think that's a good comment there. So someone wants to know, why don't they just release Campbell? Oh, yeah. Don't know if you already talked about this. Yeah, we already talked about it, but if you were late. So they don't want to let him out in the wild, basically. They don't want him to sign with another team. Although I don't know if another team would sign him, but the possibility of him signing with another team and getting more money, that's not what the 49ers do. They want to make sure he doesn't play again this season and he doesn't get any more money because he doesn't deserve any more money. He's going to sit home on basically be unemployed without unemployment. That's what the 49ers want to do. Say, you know what? You screwed us. We're going to be petty. We're going to suspend you. You can't clear. You can't go to waivers. You can't claim the rest of your money, and you can't go sign with another team for any monetary value. So that's why the 49ers are going to suspend him instead of releasing him. So I love it. The broadcaster messed up with Trent Williams. Yeah. Greenlaw comeback video was hard. Yeah, that was good, man. That was good stuff. Next year's schedule will be easier, says Mario. That is a great topic right there. A great, honestly, as bad as this season was, next year the Niners should be able to make playoffs. Playoffs should be able to bounce back. They're going to have a cupcake schedule. Like an absolute sweet tooth cupcake, cavity-producing schedule next season. So, all in all, we'll be hyped up next year. We'll make playoffs. We'll be cooking up. We'll be like a 12-win team next year. That's what I'm thinking. Retool, rebuild this team up, build the trenches up, get some good draft picks, and be back ready the next year. So, easy schedule doesn't help the team improve. I know. That's the only bad thing is you have an easy schedule. You get to the playoffs and you're going to be smacked in the mouth because you haven't really faced a real opponent. So I get that. I do agree with that. So we deserve it. We had a hard ass schedule this past few seasons. I agree. Did I hear about the comments from about Campbell, how he might have premedicated? Yeah, so we talked about this. I saw Emmanuel Akko talk about this. I also posted some tweets he had, or there were some tweets, right, where Eric Branch a couple of weeks ago said that DeAndre Campbell was really upset after a game. They benched him in the first Rams game of the season. He was mad, and he's kind of was like hinting towards it. And then Mooney Ward yesterday, there was an article from Mike Silver, and he kind of said that, yeah, we kind of figured he might be quitting or this and that. I don't know. We kind of had this vibe. And then he basically said, like, it's crazy how he thought he was better than Dre Greenlaw, but he's not. So, yeah, there was kind of some, like, rumblings behind the scenes. But nobody thought he was actually going to quit on the team, and it did. So it just shows you the character that DeAndre Campbell really had. It sucks because the Niners, they trusted this guy. They paid him a lot of money, to come in and be that linebacker, that placeholder for Dre Greenlaw. And he kind of jaded the team, and it sucks. So I'm glad that John Lynch confronted him. I can't wait to hear what John Lynch said to him. I hope John Lynch fucking ripped into his soul. I really do. So. Did we get our opponents? Yeah. I mean, if you look, there was I have to pull it up, but yeah, there's like a algorithm of how the schedule is released and everything, and it showed the opponent. It doesn't have the actual schedule yet. Like the schedule is not like out yet, but the opponents, the AFC South, like it tells you what opponents you're going to be matching up against, like AFC South, NFC North, the blah, blah, blah. So it shows with the 49ers, and I took a look at it. It does seem like it could be quite easier. So Residency, what's good, my boys from Residency? Much love. Make sure you check out. If y'all need some gifts, maybe we should post this in the story today. You want them SF hats, them Residency hats, go check them out. Use code RSF49ers for your discount. So let's see, a couple last questions here before we bounce out. So you want to know, what do I think about Purdy's contract request? That's crazy. $60 million is crazy. We talked about that at the top of the show. Yeah, Brock Purdy, reportedly, according to Tom Pelissero, wants top dollar, top of the market of the quarterbacks. I think that's a lot of money. I think that's just not warranted, man. I mean, he's the franchise quarterback, but do you really think he's worth 60 million? I get it. That's the market value. We use the market value. But just because everybody else is jumping off the cliff doesn't mean you have to jump off the cliff too. No, I think you need to be a little bit more tactful. You got to kind of go in there and really negotiate. And I think the Niners are going to have an unfortunate offseason. It's going to be I think it's going to be dramatic, as it usually is. I think they're going to have crazy contract negotiations, and it's going to be strung out because Brock's going to want 60. I don't know if the Niners are going to want to pay him that 60 million because they have other players they got to figure out. And, they got a lot of retooling on this team, the offensive line and D-line, and you need money to do that. So, I don't know. 60 million is a bit much to me for any quarterback, even Dak Prescott, too. Like all these other guys that are getting paid a lot of money, I still can't believe they're getting paid that much money. But then the thing you have to think of is, well, Brock Purdy's better than Dak, right? He's better than Tua, right? He's like, you look at it and you think about it, like, is he better than those guys in your mind? And it's instantly you say yes. So yeah, he should get paid more than them. But then you look at it and you're like, $60 million? I don't know. He hasn't really elevated the team this year. He's regressed. I know there's been injuries, O-line play, but you have to take those things into consideration. Weather games, have been bad. Brock Purdy has not played good when the game was on the line this year. Big time games. He's had chances to win them, come from behind, and he's fallen flat. So it's going to be a very interesting offseason. I don't think he's worth 60 million, but some people do. Any case. Oh, man. Let's see. Let's take maybe one more question. What do you think Brock would – let's see. Why do you think Brock would want 60 million when we already didn't have the depth and weapons for him to elevate this team? I think, honestly, I think it just comes down to the market value. Like, he believes he's at the top of the market for what he's done over his 3 years as a 49ers quarterback. And I think him and his agent feel like he deserves that $60 million. I think it comes down to, again, market value. He's beaten Dak Prescott. He's beaten Dak Prescott in the playoffs. He's beaten Trevor Lawrence. He's beaten Tua, right? He's beaten all these quarterbacks, and he's gone further than all of them. So in his mind, in his agent's mind, he's justifying it because they have had success. The 49ers have won game. They have been to a Super Bowl. They have been to an NFC Championship. You go back to the Eagles' NFC Championship. Had Brock Purdy played, we all pretty much can sit here and say they would have won that game. So those are the arguments that Brock Purdy's going to have to sit there and make, which they're really good arguments. They're good points. So that's probably why he believes he deserves $60 million. Again, it's a market value. And if you're the next quarterback that should be getting paid, you're going to believe you're at the top of the market. That's just how it works nowadays. That's the NFL for you. So, I don't know. Any case, you guys have a good rest of your day. So, to recap, let's just go over these last bullet points for you. Brock Purdy, he's seeking a top of the quarterback market contract. That's one. Two, DeAndre Campbell was confronted by John Lynch, and they're going to suspend him for the max amount of suspension as they can get, and they don't want him to play for another team, and they're trying to make sure he doesn't get paid the rest of the season. So that's what's going to happen to DeAndre Campbell. You quit on us, we're going to be petty kings and not let you even get any more money. You're suspended. Sit your ass on the bench and watch everybody, right? Watch everybody play the game that you say you love. Number three, Kyle Shanahan's not going anywhere. He's not on the hot seat. The team is still believing he can build a winner. And those are your big headlines for the San Francisco 49ers this weekend. Now, enjoy the rest of these games. About to go check out NFL Red Zone. You guys have a good rest of your day. Appreciate the support. Make sure you hit that like button. Go Niners.